Well, let's speak to Jean-Andre Prager, who's a former special advisor to the Prime Minister, a long-standing number 10 welfare expert, and indeed the report author and senior fellow at Policy Exchange. Hi there, Jean-Andre.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Really great to have you. So tell me about what your report has dug up when it comes to the paltry state of the nation's finances, particularly when it comes to sick pay.
Well, our report focuses on both incapacity benefit, as you've mentioned, and disability benefit. So PIP and ESA, or the support group in ESA, and the UC health element. And as you've indicated, it's a significant challenge for the state. We will spend about over £100 billion by the end of the Parliament on both ill health and disability benefits. And so our report tries to look at ways that we can try and rebalance the system. I think we have got the wrong incentives in our disability and ill health benefit system, where we encourage people to show what they cannot do rather than trying to encourage them to show what they can do. And so we take a kind of philosophical approach in our report to try and change the emphasis and incentives in the system.
I remember back in the day when tabloid newspapers used to love running stories on, here's Joseph, he says he can't work because he's got a bad back, and there he is jumping out of an aeroplane for charity. And you used to get a lot of these sort of, naming and shaming exercises of disability fraud, benefits cheats. I remember the programme Benefits Street, because people who are on benefits had such a bad reputation. But it seems to me that, gone are the days of I've got a bad back and I can't go to work, but you've just run a half marathon. It seems now that the big area of sick pay is going to people who it's going to be kind of hard to prove whether or not what they're saying is truthful, because it is things such as anxiety and depression. You can't really turn up with a sort of weeping boil on your arm and say, look, there's some anxiety right there. And it seems to me a lot of GPs are signing people off work because of anxiety and depression. And also there are a lot of people online telling other people how to game the system and answer questions correctly so they get that sort of support. How do you then drill down into that and separate the people who genuinely are unable to work because their mental health condition is so terrible that unless they had a good week off or four, that they're going to go kaboom, and those people who frankly just don't want to work and actually might find their mental health benefits from leaving the house and going into an office environment?
I think you make it's a very interesting question. I think the major challenge with these benefits are they're functional assessments. So they're not based on someone's condition. They're based on whether you can fulfill a function, and that's for both PIP and for the work capability assessment. And so, in our report, we suggest that for all these assessments, someone should have to provide medical evidence, because, as you say, there is a challenge about making sure that these benefits are robust when we give them out, and so far we don't think the right balance is probably there, with too much emphasis, as you say, probably on the function element of it, rather than enough emphasis put on kind of medical evidence in the system. So the recommendations we make.
But does this mean essentially we're just going to have to get a little bit tough, a little bit more strict, a little less soft, a little less kind-hearted? Because we know that there's multiple unoccupied jobs vacancies in the jobs market. We know that there are certain industries crying out for people to go and work. We also know that working from home is a thing. So if you are, part of the bad back brigade, then actually perhaps there could be a job for you that you don't have to exert any sort of, physicality in order to fulfill your duties. It seems to me, though, that despite the marketplace for jobs being more flexible than it's ever been when it comes to saying you can work from home, you can choose hours that suits you, when it comes to people not working at all, that number just keeps going up and up. Have we essentially just become too soft?
Well, I think that the challenge is that these benefits were designed like in the early 2010s, and in the case of ESA, the ESA was, before then it was under the Labour Party. So, our understanding of health, and especially mental health, has changed drastically over the last 15 years, and our benefit system hasn't adequately, kept pace with that. And I think that's part of the problem, where we haven't properly reevaluated who we should be targeting these benefits for, and that just allowed the gateway to expand over these years. And I think we need a reevaluation, a kind of new and national conversation about where we should be providing the additional support. And I think that's part of the challenge. We haven't had a national conversation, and in our report we suggest like we need a new social contract here, where we basically encourage people to be more active and more engaged in society. And I think part of the failing of our benefit system is it's too binary. Either you receive an additional financial support or you don't, and there's nothing else in our system to encourage different types of behaviour.
It's been fantastic catching up with you. The author of that report, Jean-Andre Prager, former special advisor and ex-number 10 welfare expert.